Okay, good afternoon everybody. Thank you for taking time from your busy schedules to be here today. Today we're going to focus on your impact on others. The key concept is that by better managing our relationships and our impact on others, we are likely to get more out of those relationships. Okay, and my interest on this topic really goes back for at least 30 years because when I started out 30 years ago as a young Marine officer, I was really interested to know how I can best influence the behaviors and the attitudes of the Marines that I work with without having to resort to the implied authority as a commissioned officer. And that then carried over into my corporate identity because I then, being in sales, this helped me to enable my success, whether it was as a salesperson, as a sales leader, or as the head for our sales learning and development. The ability for us to better influence the behaviors of others. So with that, everybody has a handout in front of them, okay? I'm going to ask you to turn to your handout, and we're going to take about 2 minutes. We're going to work in pairs. So what we can do ideally is Lisa, you work with Elaine, Tyler and Nick, you work together, and then Lori and Mike, you work together. I want you to look at the top third of that handout. You'll see 3 boxes. First of all, under the box that says who, I want you to think of at least one individual who you think you can better manage or impact their behavior, okay? And then we want you to think about what would be the outcome of being able to better manage that relationship, okay? And to prompt you in terms of some of the positive outcomes of managing impact on others, so I'm going to put those bullets up there, okay? So let's go ahead and take 2 minutes. Think about one individual for you to better manage your impact on them, okay? So go ahead and turn to your... It could be, yes, it could be one of your clients.
Oh,
certainly.
you can write
That might
a
be,
group
yeah.
or just one person?
Just think of one person, like if it was a client, let's say the head for that client group.
I've got one.
Improve relationships is definitely
And then Nick, for you, it could be one of your professors, maybe that might be, okay, or it could be one of your siblings. That's certainly right. Okay,
Child.
the child that might be.
a child.
Great.
Would be good. Oh my gosh, let's
Do you want just who or the benefits also?
Yeah, discuss what would be the benefit of being able to better manage your relationship with that person. And that's why I'm listing some of these things up here.
I think I'm changing.
And we have about a minute and a half.
Oh.
How are we doing? Okay. We have about less than a minute.
We've added a few.
You've added a few.
They're
Yeah.
probably wrong.
No, there are no wrong answers as we look at it. Okay. We have about 20 seconds, so let's go ahead and start to wrap this up, and then we're going to debrief. And we'll talk about, if you're able to, you can talk about your work, and I'll pick ideally 2 people to do that. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and start the debrief. So Lisa, what do you have?
I said I'd like to impact a couple clients that I work with now in accounting and bookkeeping. And I said the benefit of that would be a more efficient use of everybody's time.
Okay.
And probably the benefit of taking a more forward-looking approach to things rather than putting out fires.
Okay. All right. So it will definitely have a very good impact on the bottom line as you look at it. Right? Okay, Mike, what about you?
We chose a member of our family who at times causes a little bit of drama for us, and some of the things we were discussing were less stress, a generally happier environment, using some of the things here to address handling conflicts and problem solving most specifically,
Okay.
and benefit of improved relationships, kind of being an overall interpersonal relationships for her being the overall goal.
Sure. Okay, that sounds really good. Okay, thank you for sharing. And so the whole tenets or principles behind relationship awareness theory, it was developed by Dr. Elias Porter back in the 1970s. And you'll see the principles are outlined on that third box that you have on your handout. So for instance, Elaine, can you read the first bullet for us, please?
To understand our impact on others, we need to understand the difference between how we perceive ourselves and how others perceive us.
Okay. And then, Nick, what about the next bullet, please?
We can understand behavior by understanding motivations.
Okay. And then Tyler, the next one?
The key is to understand what motivates people to behave in a certain way.
Okay, and that's really important. We need to understand what motivates people to behave a certain way, because it all focuses, when we talk about relationship awareness theory, it's all about keeping in mind that for some people, the behavior is not just a means to itself, but really it's a vehicle to bring yourself forward towards their sense of self-worth, right? So it's not a means to an end, but it's how you bring yourself forward in terms of that self-worth, okay? So then in regards to self-worth, so we talked about motivational styles, and so let's go ahead and take a look at the next page, or excuse me, take a look at the bottom part of your handout. So now we're going to go ahead and take a quiz, okay? In this quiz, there are no right or wrong answers. What we're really looking to do is get a brief assessment of your own motivational style, all right? So when you take a look at that, you see there are 3 columns, okay? What I'd like for you to do is, yeah. What was that again?
There are 2 columns?
No, there are 3 columns. There are 3 columns. 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, okay.
Okay? So what I'd like for you to do is on top of the first column, put down a number 3. On the middle column, put down a number 3 as well. And then on the third column, put down a number 4. And you'll see in a few minutes where that makes sense. And then what I'd like for you to do, as you go through the survey, think about the time in which you felt really good about yourself, whether at home or at work. So think about what was going really well as you go through that, as you go through the assessment, okay? Because it asks about you and you feeling really good about yourselves rather than being in a stressful situation. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a minute or so to complete them. Again, keep in mind there are no right or wrong answers in this particular quiz. Go ahead.
So we're putting 10 points for each question.
Now you're going to add, there's on each one of the columns up on top, put a 3 on the first column, put another 3 on the next column, and then put a 4 on the third column. Okay? It's 10 points for each question is the total. Okay? So 3, 3, and 4. And then when you're done, actually, you can go ahead and add them up. So you should have a set of at least 3 numbers. 2, maybe 3 numbers at the bottom right of your survey. Okay, we have about a minute left. And just give me a quick show of hands when you're done filling that in. So you're done. Okay, great. Elaine, you're done. Lori? Okay. So it looks like we've got everything done. Okay, great. So what we're going to do now is we're going to set that aside. We're going to come back to it in a few minutes. But first, let's talk about motivational styles. Okay? The whole study of motivational styles actually goes back to ancient Greece and Hippocrates. So what Hippocrates observed is that there were 4 distinct characteristics. And what he also observed is that when he could identify what those characteristics were, he labeled them the 4 humors. Okay? When he could identify what those characteristics were, he knew essentially what people were predisposed to do in terms of their behavior. Does that make sense? Okay? So his studies there actually led to the other studies by, for instance, a Swiss psychologist, Dr. Carl Jung. Okay? And some of you have heard of him. And Dr. Carl Jung's work was actually the foundation for Myers-Briggs, and I think a lot of us here have taken some form of surveys in regards to Myers-Briggs. Okay, so let's talk about motivational styles. As you see up there, there are 4 different styles. We have a carer, driver, professional, and an adapter. All right, so Nick, can you read for us the first one about carer, some of the bullet points that are up there?
Harmony. They enjoy working with people. They're often very effective networkers.
Okay, so their sense of self-worth comes from the fact that they're very good nurturers. Okay, so let's think about a career that actually would do well in regards to somebody who is a carer. Can anybody come up with that type of work? Yeah.
Caregiver, nurse.
Being a caregiver and nurse, right, certainly, because being able to take care of people and being able to nurture them and help them is critical. Okay, the next one we talk about being a driver. So their sense of self-worth